Thank you, everybody, for participating in this process and joining tonight. I'll start with just some recollection because today, this week, is um, the fifth anniversary of one of the most terrible things that I ever witnessed and took part in. It was 5 winters ago that I was in the Capitol when that mob that Trump sent attacked us. And we didn't know we were going to survive that day. We didn't know if democracy in America was going to survive that day. At the end of it, um, as terrible as it was, when when the battle was over, when the police officers had chased all of the rioters out of that building, when we marched back into that House chamber to finish the job, to do our constitutional duty of certifying the election, I have to admit that I thought that the country had turned a corner. I've been thinking about the moment when I ran into our now Senator, Andy Kim, late that night, like at 1 in the morning, picking up the garbage
Mm.
in the Capitol Rotunda and thinking, like, that's what we're doing symbolically. We are picking up the garbage, the moral garbage of that first Trump administration and throwing it in the trash and moving back to something normal and decent and that could be of service to the American people. Um, I'm here running for Congress again, talking to you guys because I was there that day, because I was wrong that we had turned the corner, because of the lessons that we've learned in the 5 years since. Um, I'm here because I feel like I've spent my whole life in different parts of my career fighting exactly this threat that we're dealing with today. As you guys may know, I was President Obama's Assistant Secretary of State for Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor. That means my job was to fight dictators around the world. And I ran for Congress this first time because I realized I gotta like put those skills to use in the United States, unfortunately. I'm here and I'm running because I'm an immigrant to America. Like a lot of these people, good people who are being harassed, who are being arrested, who are being persecuted across the country by ICE today. I'm an immigrant whose family chose this country. The first time I took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States was not as a congressman, not as a diplomat. It was when I was a 10-year-old boy getting sworn in at the New York courthouse to become a United States senator. And that part of me cannot stand what we are seeing today. I'm here and I'm running because I feel like our country, I think we're facing basically a state of emergency right now, um, and a moral test that we have to pass. Now, Sal, you mentioned what happened yesterday, and that was a particularly dramatic case. And I am right now grieving not just for that mom whose life was taken so cruelly. I'm also thinking about the danger of having the president of the United States immediately go out publicly and exonerate the ICE agent who did it. The message that that sends to all of these other federal agents out there is no matter what you do, as long as you do it on behalf of the President of the United States, you need not fear accountability. If you want to shoot a protester in the face tomorrow, which I don't think they would have dared to do a week ago, you need not fear accountability. Just like the pardon for the January 6 rioters, I think was worse than the riot itself because it, in effect, licensed the crime. It invited people to commit the crime again. That's part of the moral test that we are facing as a country. The idea that basically anything you do, if you do it on behalf of the leader in power, I don't care if it's Trump or somebody else down the road, anything you do no matter how criminal, no matter how immoral, if you do it for the leader, you will be fine. But if God forbid you try to enforce the law, if you try to stand up for decency and the Constitution in opposition to the person in power, then they come after you. I care about a lot of issues in this country, and we'll talk about some of them tonight. But if we don't get the foundations of our democracy and our rule of law right, the things that the framers of our country, the founders of our country gave us over 200 years ago, if we allow that to be lost, nothing else matters. Now, the good news, and there's a lot of good news out there, despite the anxiety and the sense of horror that we're feeling, is that I think the majority of Americans are totally fed up with this bullshit. This isn't what they voted for. They voted for lower costs. They voted because they believed Trump when he said he would make things cost less. And in fact, he did the opposite with those tariffs. He made everything in America cost more. Maybe they wanted a little bit more security on the border. They didn't want ICE agents chasing high school students on school property and arresting moms and dads letting their kids off at school. I think most people are disgusted by this stuff. And for that reason, I am really confident today that Democrats are going to win the midterm elections in November. But here's the problem. That's not till November. And the Congress that we elect, the House, maybe even the Senate, is not going to be seated until next January, a year from today. And we don't know what's going to happen in the next year. We don't know what's going to happen next month. We don't know what's going to happen next week. The whole Venezuela thing, like that was a surprise I could not have predicted 2 weeks ago. So we know there are going to be emergencies after emergencies after emergencies. And we in the 11th district are sending somebody to Congress in the middle of this emergency in April. And so the decision that you guys have to make, that the voters in the district, the Democrats need to make, is which of the good Democrats running in this race is best equipped to meet that emergency immediately on day one. Now, you guys know I served in Congress before. I'm the only candidate in this race who's represented any part of the 11th district in Congress before. But I hope you also remember how I represented people. The fact that I was present in every community, that I held more than 140 town halls in the 4 years I was there, more than any member of our congressional delegation. I hope you remember that I stuck my neck out a lot, even though the district I was representing was more Republican than Democrat. I stood up for immigrant rights. I was the first swing district Democrat in America in 2019 to call for Trump's impeachment when he tried to extort Ukraine. I'm the only candidate in this race, I'm pretty sure, who's been sanctioned by Vladimir Putin, the only one who has been denounced on national television by Tucker Carlson. He called me not the sharpest drawer in the knife, which was kind of funny. I still carry that as a point of pride. And most important, the only one of these good Democrats who, if you send me back to Congress, will have the experience and the relationships there to be effective on day one, and even, and this is very important, the formal legal seniority that comes with my past service, which is very, very important in terms of how the House works and how much influence a member has, not just to fight these big national issues, but to deliver for their district. And so I hope you think about those factors as you make your personal decisions. And I hope you'll give me the opportunity to go back there and to build on the record of service that I've already demonstrated and to step in where our wonderful Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill left off, rather than send somebody there who's going to need 3 or 4 years to be able to develop the kind of seniority and effectiveness that you need in this moment to address all of the issues that are making us anxious and angry and afraid, and again, to deliver for our communities. So with that, I would be delighted to hear any questions that you guys have on any of the thousands of issues facing our state and the country. And I'll do my best to explain what I think we can practically do in Congress as Democrats start winning more elections to bring this country back to decency and democracy. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, Tom.